So you like bad boys, right? Welcome to part 2. This is going to be part 2 of the warrior archetype and why you may be attracted to bad boys. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time seeing me, and welcome back if you are returning. I am Monica and this is Muse by Monica. On this channel, we talk about alchemizing our pain into our greatest superpower. We get deep, we get dark, and we get into our shadows. So if you are the co-creator of your life, Ethereans, come on in here, take your shoes off ground, and let's get into it. So in today's video, we're just going to be getting a little bit deep, okay? A little bit deeper into the bad boy, the thug, all right? That warrior archetype and why you may be attracted to this type of energy. We're going to talk about in today's video what the warrior archetype is, what made the masculine this way, why or how he can recognize himself, how the femme sees him and or loves him, and why she may be attracted to him. So if any of that sounds interesting, now whether you are the feminine watching or whether you are the masculine watching, this can be very informative for both sides. So let me know. All right, because we're going to really get deep and look at his true origin, his self-reflection, her perception, and then her attraction. All right, so let's get into it. So if you guys see me looking over, I'm going to be looking off slightly over to the side. I'm going to have some notes for you, okay? We're going to talk about what made the warrior archetype who he is. If you guys are just coming in on this video, please go watch the first the first part, all right? Because in this video, we're going to talk a lot deeper about who this masculine is, what he looks like, okay? So what made him this way? The origins of the warrior or the warrior archetype, because this doesn't just happen. This isn't just something that they're born into, or it can be something, right? So this is the archetype. This is the man. This is the man's man. This is the man that was forged by fire. This was the man that had to walk through fire, had to walk through his pain, had to wear armor from the time that he was young, a young child, all right, from a young boy. The survival mode was an early initiation. Being able to survive, knowing how to survive was an early initiation. He often faced a lot of dangers early on, deprivation and instability in his young years, all right? He may have even also experienced poverty, violence, loss of family, families breaking down, or even systems that just treated him like he was expendable, like he was worthless, like he didn't matter. So as a result, he learned very, very quickly that no one was coming to save him. No one is coming to save me. There is no Superman. There is no Spider-Man. There is no Batman. There is no greater force. There isn't even a God, a man, like a physical manly God, or even a spiritual connection to a God that I can call on who is going to come save me from what I was just initiated into. All right. And again, that can be an inherited burden, meaning ancestral armor. They're born into an ancestral curse, okay, where you are full of a bloodline of men who have had to fight. We talked a little bit about this in part 1, but this is the type of man who had to fight really early on, whose uncles, cousins, dads, the main figures in their life had to fight. They don't know anything but the street. They don't know anything but street survival. They don't know anything about anything but war, internal war, and thus out like external war. Okay, so these are going to be the men that are often on the battlefields, in the streets, and even in the boardrooms. Okay, there's always going to be a constant fight or a constant at war feeling with their spirit. Now, sometimes this can be like literal soldiers as well. Like you may have encountered men with the warrior spirit who are very drawn to the military or war or street war. Okay, this is gonna be like your rebels, your outlaws, those who are like really resistant to leaders here. There's gonna be those who are looking for some type of reform structure, or even looking to direct their energy somewhere, direct this inner rage, this inner conflict somewhere. Inside this type of man, there are going to be very natural, very instinctual survival codes that reside within his nervous system, right? In every waking moment of life, he is going to be expecting some type of fight. He's going to be expecting some type of confrontation, and sometimes he's even going to be the one like looking for this type of fight or confrontation, looking to fight. It's going to be the type of man who is always just sparky, is always ready to hop out and dump out, and it don't matter. This is the type of man who is always at war. And it's like, why you always so angry, baby? Calm down. It's gonna be okay. All right, so another way that this shows up, it's kind of a shadow rite of passage here. So this could look like in healthy cultures where warriors were initiated and then brought back to the village with some type of honor here. Okay, so if this is something that's more ancestral, this was something that was looked positive upon. All right, so warriors were seen as the protectors of the women right here, as of the tribes, of the children. So when this was a rite of passage for younger boys, they were deemed honorable here, right? But when you have unhealthy cultures who kind of take that, perverted or modernize it or colonize it, we get men who see themselves as warriors who have to stay in this fight forever, for the rest of their life. All right, no one teaches them. Once they come out of this energy, they don't know peace, they don't know rest, they don't know how to lay their weapons down, they don't know how to disassociate the two. Now, let's talk about how the warrior archetype is going to recognize himself, how this masculine energy ultimately recognizes himself, okay? So a warrior archetype man might not call himself a warrior, okay? But he's going to feel it. He innately knows it, okay? So self-identity signs that he may recognize in himself as a warrior type. Okay, so you or he may feel like he has to be on guard all the time, even around safe spaces or around safe people. He may pride himself in endurance, meaning like, I've been through worse, I've been able to get through worse, I can get through this. Okay, his loyalty, or he has loyalty to those and only to those he deems as his people, his tribe, the ones he's had to ride through the fire with, or those who have come out of the fire on the other side with him here. Okay, he is the type of man who has a code of honor that might not match society's laws, okay, but they're gonna match his inner truth. So what society sets for his standard, and what he sets for himself are gonna be completely different here. Okay, but that's also going to he's also going to need to recognize himself internally, the internal conflict that exists within the type of warrior spirit here. Okay, so he's gonna find it very hard to trust. All right, he's gonna see vulnerability as a weakness, as a potential weakness. All right, and we know them warriors, all right, any vulnerability, any signs of emotion is a weakness, it's a threat. All right, you're gonna be seen as a threat, you gotta go. You're here because you're weak, because you can't stand the test, you can't stand the strength, the weight of war, or you are just like, there's no space for it, like there's no capacity for it, right? So this type of man is also going to face a lot of battles with anger, all right? A lot of battles with inner anger, anger with others. This is going to be the type of masculine who, if he's healthy, or he finds a healthy outlet, he may try to direct that anger to sports, all right, like always football, basketball, martial arts, boxing, all right. They're gonna do something, or you should do some type of healthy outlet for this, all right. On an internal level, the warrior masculine may also feel like no one truly understands what he has seen or what it is he has to carry. Usually when you talk to these type of masculines, they have a very loner energy, a very loner wolf type of energy mentality, like it's a him against the world type of thing. It's a nobody's walked in my shoes, nobody's ever walked in my shoes, nobody's going to be able to walk in my shoes. It's an energy that only he knows, that only he knows. So now that we see how the masculine may see himself, let's see how the feminine may actually see him. Alright, fam, so you might see the masculine in a completely different light, alright? Feminine energy, of course, you're going to innately carry a completely different frequency or a completely different energy when it comes to this particular masculine archetype, okay? To the feminine, especially to the feminines who are the healers, the mystics, or empath archetypes. He's going to be so magnetic. He is going to be so alluring, all right? He is going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, all right? Like, there's going to be something about his energy that you love, that you crave, that you desire, okay? So let's talk about what it is that she sees in him, okay? She's going to innately see his strength. She's going to admire his strength. She's going to desire him for his strength. It's going to be the way that he stands in chaos without flinching. The way that he has been able to be forged by fire and still come out beautiful. Still come out absolutely beautiful. He is going to be seen for his honor, all right? Even if it's unconventional, he has his own personal code. He's going to stand on certain morals, principles that are distinct from the norm, all right? She is going to see that hidden little boy. She's going to see that little boy. She's going to see that inner child. She's going to catch glimpses of his softness. He tries to hide from the world. She's going to catch the little boy that deserves to be held and loved and seen and affirmed. All right, so she's also going to, how she's going to love him though, the feminine is going to love him by, she is going to believe in the man that is under the armor. All right. I said it here myself on this channel. It's never safe. It is never safe. It is never safe to believe in a man's potential. But when we're talking about something deeper here, if we're trying to get an understanding here of why we love these men, these type of archetypal men, it's because you see something under his armor, that little boy. All right, you see the soft sides of him, even if it's not the little boy that you see, right? How you love him, you see the parts of him that didn't get love, that deserved to be loved. How do you ignite those? Okay, because he's buried parts of those under the ashes. He's buried parts of himself under the ashes. You're also going to love him. She wants to be the one safe space where he doesn't have to fight. If you love on these type of men, you understand that they don't gotta fight here. I don't want to fight with you. I don't want no smoke. All right, you're safe here. You may have to do that in every other aspect of your life. You may have had to do that in every other aspect of your life. But here, right here, baby, it needs boosts. These ones are kind of small, but you get my point. You're going to be safe, all right? You're going to be nice and safe. You're going to be warm, and you're going to feel safe and protected, all right? How she's also going to love him. She's going to pour her healing energy, her healing essence into him because she sees him. She sees who he could be if the wounds were just tended to. All right, you just need a little healing. You need a little elixir. That's all. All right, so now let's talk about why she may be attracted to this bad boy, the warrior. All right, so the feminine attraction to this energy is very, very rarely going to be about all the bad boy drama. It's not going to be about the chaos. It is more about the soul memory and the polarity. All right, so when the soul memory of these type of masculines is activated, she understands that she's been his priestess, lover, or comrade in many a lifetimes before. When you meet this type of energy, when it feels soul, ancient soul, all right, when it feels deeper than what it is on the surface, there's a DNA memory that gets activated. There's something here that feels deeper, like I know this energy before. All right, we've met in many lifetimes before. All right, there's also going to be something here again, like we said in part 1, where this has to do with your lineage. If it's not you directly who has met this energy before, you come from a long line full of women who were partners to these warriors. All right, you may have grandmothers, great aunts whose husbands or cousins or something were these warrior spirits. You may have even tended to these warrior spirits. Look, you may have been tending to a little brother spirit in a past life. You may have been tending, you could have been a grandmother spirit tending to a great niece, or I don't know, like there's something where it doesn't have to be directly your energy. It could be through all the matriarchs in your family who had to encounter or who loved on these men as well. All right, so if it's a part of your soul memory as well, she could likely feel a very spiritually charged essence in his presence, because there is an archetype in her that they've met before. There's an archetype, his archetype and her archetypes have danced and met in centuries before, right? They've known each other before. So whether you have been the priestess, the lover, or just a friend to him in past lives, whether you have been the great-grandmother, mother, cousin, aunt spirit to him before, or whether you guys have actually been in love, been in union and connection in past lifetimes here, right? So if we talk about the polarity of this, right, why you may be attracted to him on the opposite side here, right? You could be attracted to the opposite of your nature. In his natural nature, you are attracted to his essence. He may come off as very raw, very grounded, and have a very protective energy, in contrast to her softness, her mystery, and her nurturing. You may also have the polarity where she craves the feeling of being protected by someone who could ground her through any storm, through all her storms. Now, this could also be the masculine looking for that nurturing energy. So while you're looking for the feeling of being protected, he's looking for the feeling of being nurtured. All right. So how do you get hooked? What's the hook? Right? It's that glimmer of vulnerability that he shows to her, and only to her. It is incredibly intoxicating, and it's something that even perhaps only she sees. There's a part of him that only she sees beneath the mask. Because when you're the healer, when you're the lover, you're the seer, you see past the veil of these men. You see past the guard of these men, okay? And now you also, this spirit is also going to make you feel like you are chosen and you are trusted. He chooses to trust you, okay? And for some women, this can feel like love, all right? If he chooses you and chooses to trust you or to make you his safe space, this can often be confused or equated to love, even if it's just actually selective access to his wound. Let me say that again, okay? Sometimes, feminine, you get hooked. You are attracted to this energy because he makes you feel chosen and trusted. He is choosing you to trust him. Sometimes we can confuse that with love when it is simply about accessibility to his wound. There is someone here to heal, nurture, love on his wound. So at the core of this, you guys, I want you to understand that the warrior archetype is not bad. It is not an overall a bad guy, a bad boy, a bad person. This is not a dark energy, it doesn't have to be a dark spirit. When it is unhealed, when it is unevolved, it can be dangerous. It can be very dangerous. But at the core, when this warrior archetype is in a healed state, he can be a beautiful partner. He can be such a beautiful partner when he is healed, protective, loyal, and honorable. But in his shadow, when he is controlling, emotionally closed off, or perpetually in battle survival mode, he's never going to allow true intimacy. He's never going to be able to let true intimacy or true love in. And you, feminine, need to be able to discern that, okay? Understand that your attraction to him or being attracted to the warrior archetype or these bad boys, it's not wrong, all right? But without discernment, it can be very damaging and it can become a repetitive karmic loop instead of something that is a conscious love. All right, so stay with me because we're also going to talk about 4 specific warrior sub-archetypes and what this warrior energy kind of looks like. All right, guys, so I might break this up into a part 3. I'm not sure because we're already on 20 minutes with this video. So if this end up being a part 3, hey y'all, welcome to part 3. Okay, in this section of this video, if you missed part 1, we're talking about what the warrior spirit is, overall what he looks like. In part 2, which we are here now, we're talking about what this looks like, why the feminine may be attracted to him here. We're also now about to break down the 4 warrior archetypes or sub-archetypes and how they play a role in love and attraction. So there are 4 specific warrior archetypes, all right? There's going to be the street king, the rebel leader, the exiled knight, and then the sacred protector. We're going to talk about exactly how each of these shows up in relationships. So first we have the good old street king, all right? So his overall energy, he is going to be an urban warrior, survivor, self-made, ruler of his environment. His origin story, he is likely going to be the masculine who grew up in scarcity, instability, and high-stakes environment. He learned his power through dominance, respect, and protecting what was his. His kingdom is likely going to be the streets, like the literal streets, his neighborhood, or a self-built empire. All right, so the street king, the street archetype, warrior archetype is going to be the type of guy who talks very much about how he grew up in the streets. He grew up in a really rough neighborhood, who he really had to dominate himself to gain respect. He had to, kind of play this alpha role very early on. He grew up in poverty or in scarcity. Things were unstable. Maybe the home was very unstable, all right, or things were very challenging. He had to be the high stakes leader. He had to make a name for himself or make a statement for himself so that he was not taken advantage of, okay? His core wound is going to look like trust issues stemming from betrayal and survival-based living. He's always going to be on the constant scan for threats, emotionally and physically. The Street King in love, though, is going to be very fiercely protective and possessive. He's going to give his loyalty like a crown, but only after a very, very, very long time of vetting out that person, all right? They're going to struggle to be emotionally vulnerable without having some level of control. Now, feminine, you might be attracted to the Street King archetype because of his dominance. His dominance is going to make her feel very shielded. His authority is going to feel like safety in chaos. And she wants to show him that he can have, peace without losing his power. All right, now next we have the rebel leader. All right, so the rebel leader, his overall energy is going to be the revolutionary. He's going to be very charismatic, political, visionary, but raw. So his origin story, he is likely going to have witnessed injustice firsthand. He has refused to bow to systems, traditions, or to authority overall that has felt corrupt at any point in his life. He's often going to be exiled or has felt exiled, has been fired or shunned for refusing to comply. At a deep core, his core wound is going to be deep anger. He's going to have a deep anger or resentment around oppression. He's going to take it very personal with this anger, and it's going to be a very personal anger or a collective anger here, okay? He's going to carry the weight of being the only one who's willing to speak out. But in love, the rebel leader is going to inspire. He's going to inspire, uplift, and challenge you. He can be consumed by his cause and neglect his emotional needs at home. But he's going to have a very high passion, all right, be very passionate about you and about what he's working on, but his presence may be very inconsistent. Now, you may be attracted, feminine, you may be attracted to this type of king, all right, this type of rebel leader, warrior archetype, because she sees him as a man of purpose, all right? She sees him as someone who is unafraid to fight for what is right. She sees him as someone who's unafraid to fight for or stand up for what he believes in. So his rebellion is kind of like really attractive to him. It's like kind of sexy, it feels like freedom. It feels like her freedom, even if you feminine have any type of rebel archetype within you, you may be also attracted to his instinctual nature, all right? But you may also feel like you want to calm the storm. You want to calm his storm, or be his home, be his safe place, or be the place that he can return to. All right, so the next type of warrior archetype, the third type of warrior archetype, is going to be the exiled knight, all right? So his overall energy, he is going to be the honorable man, cast out or misunderstood. This is going to be the lone wolf, all right? So his origin story is going to look like a man who had to live by a personal code of honor that clashed with his community's norms, okay? So this is the man, the masculine, who was able to see things differently than the way maybe his family saw. He was the black sheep. He was willing to go with what he felt instinctually inside versus what he was told he had to do. All right, so this may be the type of masculine who may have been betrayed by his own, or even lost everything by defending someone or something. All right, now this is the type of man who's going to move through life very self-reliant, untrusting, but is still guided by his principles. All right, his core wounds are going to be based in grief and loneliness because of his exile. He feels unseen or misjudged despite his good intentions. So he had good intentions of doing something. He was standing for what he thought was right, and somehow he got outcast. Somehow he got misjudged. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be attracted to this type of energy because you're going to instinctually understand something about him that others didn't. Okay, now this type of man, the exiled knight warrior archetype in love, he is going to be so loyal, like deeply loyal once trust is earned. He's going to be very overprotective, but very slow to open up here. Okay, but once he does, he's going to be very, very protective. Okay, and in love, he can also carry some bitterness and suspicion into the relationship, but this is not anything to do with you. This is most likely because of his origins. Okay, now feminine, while you may be attracted to this type of exiled knight warrior archetype because she senses the depth of his honor, she understands the deep parts of why he honors himself and thus tries to honor those around him. She is attracted to him for his solitude because it's going to call out her nurturing nature. You being in your lone state, you're going to need someone to nurture you. You don't have to be alone. Okay, and she's also going to want to be the one who restores his faith in love. All right, she's going to want to be the one to show him something different, like love is possible here. Alright guys, so last but not least, we have the sacred protector warrior archetype. Alright, so this overall energy, he's going to be the warrior who fights for something sacred. Family, community, land, spiritual beliefs. Okay, so the sacred protector, his origin story, he often was raised in strong cultural or spiritual traditions. Okay, he saw very early on that strength is a duty, it's not an option. All right, you have to be strong. All right, this is something you have to protect those around you. You have to keep your family, your community, your land, your space safe. Okay, he has likely been both feared and revered. His core wound is going to stem from burnout and hyper responsibility from always being the protector. He may even have a fear of failing those who depend on him. In love, though, the sacred protector warrior archetype is going to be very steadfast, incredibly dependable, and will put his partner above himself. He can be a little bit overbearing and sometimes controlling out of fear of loss. He may even suppress his own needs to keep the relationship safe. Now, feminine, you may be attracted to this type of archetype because of his reliability and his devotion. They feel like extremely rare, and they're going to be really grounding. They feel grounding for you. This is going to be something you're not used to, so you're going to be attracted to the fact that he can stay steadfast. His commitment is going to be something bigger than himself, and it's going to inspire her. She is going to want to give him space where he is protected for once. Where he always has to show up as the protector, she wants to now step in and be, hey, I am your protector. I am your keeper. Alright, so this one's not too long, so we're going to keep it all in one video. Alright, so the common thread between all of these energies, though, across all these warrior archetypes is the same. Alright, so the feminine is going to feel this warrior archetype the most through their presence, their strength, and through their rawness. Alright, but also their wound. because that wound calls her to be the healer, her lover, or the mystic in their life. Ooh, 3444. I like those numbers. All right, so that's gonna be where we end this, you guys. I'm gonna wrap this up here. I hope that you guys really resonate, and I hope that this is helpful. I hope that this gives you a little bit more insight into yourself, into your healing, into your shadow. Why you attracted to them bad boys? It's okay. All right, it's okay. Now we understand it at a lot deeper, at a much deeper frequency here, so we can alchemize it, we can transmute that shit, and we can use it to, all right, be our greatest superpower. All right, so that's all I got for y'all. Until next time, make sure to drop me a comment. Let me know what type of warrior archetype you're attracted to, what type of bad boy you're attracted to, or if you're a masculine watching, what type of warrior archetype are you? All right, we'll explore some other type of archetypes on this channel. I made this mostly for the co-creator, for the healer, but I know I do have some masculine audience, so I hope that this helps you guys. I hope this helps all of us in the collective all around, and until next time, peace.